Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Man Cave Mondays. This is Dan with you once again, and I am really excited about our topic this evening because we are diving into the good, the bad, and the ugly of the comic book movie world. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that happened over the last week or so. We've been off a week, and we decided to come back Labor Day weekend, I guess, and just kick it and chill and talk comic book movies. So Joe, unfortunately, is going to be out this week, so he's not able to join us. But we do have the rest of our regular panel in. First off, Christian, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Dan, how about yourself? You enjoying your weekend?
See you. Yeah, I have been enjoying my weekend. It's been kind of crazy working. I work in IT in a school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's been kind of maddening with so much stuff with students going back to school, but also not being back in school, which means everybody is using the internet and using their computers and getting devices to all these students and teachers. And so it's been kind of nuts. So I've had a lot of that in the back of my brain of everything I got to get going when I get back.
So what you're telling me is you could single-handedly cripple an entire school system if you wanted to.
Yeah, that would be the worst idea ever. If I wanted to make everybody hate my guts and loathe me to pieces, I guess there's ways that I could do that.
It's your Supervillain origin story.
That sounds like a terrible idea, though. I love my job and I value it very much. So I'm going to choose not to do that.
All right. The option's on the table.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying Labor Day weekend and getting an extra day off. That's kind of nice.
Hey, always an extra day off is nice.
It's always just more the challenge of making sure that when you're at home, you're not bringing work home with you. The hardest part is keeping it shut off up here. I think sometimes when I
completely understand
so much plate spinning when you're coming back, but. With that said, let's stop me talking about work. Thanks, Christian, for that. Appreciate it. I'm going to blame you for that, even though it's totally my fault. And jump back into talking nerdy man cave comic book stuff. And Alberto is with us, and Alberto's mic is working.
He's muted, but it's working.
It's muted.
Okay,
there we go.
Now it's
Alberto, come on now, dude.
I almost did it. I almost had it. I showed up early and I'm still late somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all good. We won't hold it against you. It's fine. How was your week, dude? 2 weeks, I guess, technically.
Pretty good. A big at-home project. My dad and I, there was like a small burst in the plumbing pipe in the basement bathroom. So it was just a huge mess, but I'm glad that now anytime I'm downstairs wanting to watch a movie or work on something, I don't have to run 1 to 2 flights of stairs just to go pee. Like,
there you go. That makes it worth it right there, right?
You lose some cardio, though.
It's those small modern things that I'm just like, wow, this is a first world problem. I have to walk up the multi-level home to go to the bathroom.
To go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because the other bathroom isn't working. Yeah.
Right.
But now you got it fixed, so that's good. Way to go, man. Man cave points right there. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And last but not least, our friend Bobby is with us this evening. How are you, sir?
Moving forward.
How was your week?
Doctor
Who Cup.
I almost busted my arm. Yes.
You almost busted your arm?
You'll see this. Yeah. I flipped 180 degrees on my bike.
What?
Yeah.
That's
so helmet is so I always want to tell
ask
everyone
you if you were wearing a helmet. Yeah.
Yes, and here's the thing. My helmet, since I just bought it, free replacement if I get a crash within a year.
Hey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was $150 investment.
Okay, so hold on. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
That sounds
I didn't know either. So
that's
I'm going to
awesome.
shout out to the Trek in Naperville on Route 59. If anyone's here in Illinois, I was fully expecting like, all right, I need a new helmet. It kept me safe. I'm going to put down another $150 because it kept my noggin safe. They're like, oh no, free replacement if you get a crash within the year of purchase.
Hey.
So that sounds to me like an incentive to intentionally go out and just go balls to the wall crazy in a crash right before then, so you can get a whole new one to last you another year.
364 days.
Just kind of milk that.
Yeah.
Keep that
Yeah,
going,
I just
right,
don't want
Bobby?
the health bills that are coming in.
Yeah, right. I guess there's a risk reward there. You weigh that out a little bit.
I think the medical bills outweigh the helmet cost.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess you guys are no fun. Alrighty, but we're having a really fun conversation tonight about comic book movies. This is going to either be contentious or hilarious, probably both.
A little bit of both.
I'm really excited about it. But first, we're going to dive into the news. We're going to try and be a little brief about this because the conversation tonight, we want to leave time for that.
I can go first, like always. So, because I just
you want to go first, Bobby?
So the big article
Sure.
now is that Tim Drake was going by Red Robin. He was the third Robin, and then eventually he became the Red Robin. Now he became Drake out of all superhero names, and now he's Robin again. And Damian Wayne is not Robin anymore.
Damian Wayne is not Robin anymore because
he's not going to be called comics.
Because comics.
That
makes sense. Let me see. I know you sent me an article here. Let me see if I can get
that.
Yeah.
So just that's the new thing in comic book world. So eventually there are elseworlds where Damian Wayne leaves Batman and becomes, leaves his father and eventually becomes Batman again. So
yeah.
Let me ask a question. Does this take place in the same comic book continuity as the one where they're currently like brainwashing Dick Grayson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where Dick Grayson is now Richard. No. He is
Ricky or
Ricky. Yeah, he shaved his head
because the Joker brainwashed him now. Because he was brainwashed by somebody else, but now the Joker brainwashed him.
Yeah, now he's his own superhero, and
yeah.
So
they're doing a lot of weird stuff with Robin.
They're doing a lot of weird stuff.
They're trying. And look,
they're getting creative.
They got to get creative after all these years. So you can't.
No new ideas.
Yeah, I mean, they did have at one time. Dick Grayson was an undercover spy who everyone thought was dead.
Yeah. Hey,
so
what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. But that's kind of I thought that was the kind of cool comic book news of the week. So
cool. Very cool. All right, I guess I'll go next. Streaming news. A couple things that I want to bring to everybody's attention here if I can get it up. Let me grab it here quick. First and foremost, where is it? Witcher on Netflix series or season 2 is obviously still in production right now. They're already talking about doing a whole host of different spin-off series on Netflix that are being confirmed and in the works of being created, produced, written, all of that stuff. And one of them is called Witcher Blood Origin. And this is going to be a prequel to the original series that is on Netflix right now. And it's supposed to be centered around the first Witcher, is the idea of it. And guess who is rumored having been not necessarily confirmed, but the rumor has come from multiple independent sources. Right. And independent sources. Take a guess who's possibly going to be the original Witcher.
I already know, so I won't guess.
I can't guess either because I know the answer.
I'm the only one that doesn't.
Alberto, you didn't hear about this? Oh, no. Good. Okay. Just think
what actor you would think
DC
would play,
actors.
Go by superhero name.
Go
and Dan will fill in the blank.
Think DC.
DC.
DC superhero actors who. Well, we could even go so far as to say that the DCEU will like.
Yeah.
We'll modernize it. So we're not diving all the way big debt. Yes, Jason Momoa.
Oh, really?
Jason Momoa is apparently in talks of being the main actor, the main character for the Witcher Blood Origin series, which is going to be a prequel. I guess it'll be like 1,200 years difference from, I don't know. sounds pretty weird and crazy and complicated as the Witcher story is.
The first Witcher, was that a PC game? Because I don't remember what system that came out on.
No, the original, all of the games follow the same character.
No, he's asking, was the original Witcher game that came out on PC?
Yeah.
Oh, the original Witcher game?
Yeah, I think so.
The first Witcher game was on PC.
And then 2 was on Xbox 360 and 3 was on Xbox One or Vice. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, that was how that
was. Yeah, I guess that's why like you're saying this is based on Witcher 1. I'm like, this is
no. It's not based on the first game.
Like the first person to ever
the
be
lore
a Witcher.
of what a Witcher is. This is like way before Henry Cavill's series.
Yeah.
And basically talking about the origins of what a Witcher is in general by the creation of and the story of the very first one ever.
Well, now I have more to watch. Great.
Right? Exactly.
Another thing on my list.
I still need to finish the season.
I got to finish it too. I got like 2 episodes left or something.
I watched like 1.5 episodes. I still have so much stuff to watch.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because they're saying it like this as well as other series. I guess there are other series they're talking about making. This is the only one that's getting buzzed because Jason Momoa's name's dropped on it. All of that is going to be worked on after 2 is done completely, season 2. So right now it's just people talking, casting, all of that sort of stuff, but no production, shooting, anything like that yet. So in other TV streaming news, The Mandalorian season 2 has an official release date.
I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
I am super thrilled. It is All Hallows Eve. It's when it is coming out. October 30th is the day that it's going to be dropping on Disney Plus. I am thrilled. This is the whole reason I signed up for Disney Plus. I am sticking with it because I have a 4-year-old daughter. So I'm glad that they're putting out more new content for someone like me to actually feel like I'm getting my money's worth. So
my son and I are going through all of the new DuckTales seasons.
Yes.
So
I have started going through Goof Troop a bit with Lily, my daughter. Mm-hmm. She has actually really liked Goof Troop. So
we haven't done that one. We're on the Goof Troop with Danny Pudi and David Tennant. All those people in the background. I've enjoying it. So
very cool. Very, very cool. Did you guys all finish the first season of Mandalorian?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You did? All right.
Yeah.
Bobby, yes. I'm curious, did any of you watch it more than once?
No.
I attempted.
You attempted? Yeah.
I binged it in like 2 days and I'm like, okay, I'm good.
I watched them as they were coming out. I couldn't wait for them all to come out and then binge it.
Yeah.
I know, right? Finally, last bit of news here. There was so much going on, but I wanted to throw this one out there as hey, this could be a fun scoop. HBO Max has officially cast Constantine for a new series on HBO Max.
But
there's no announcement yet as to who it is.
I think honestly, I really liked the guy who played him was originally on Fox, and then he continued over to the CW.
Yeah, it was
this guy, the guy that you just
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan, that's
and he's now on
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow. So I think that's a great
fantastic.
He'd be a good fit, although
if they're doing HBO Max, they might want a bigger name.
And if it's HBO Max that is technically supposed to be connected to like
the rest of DC and
Snyder Cut and all that.
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter, but I would love to officially see like Keanu Reeves' version of Constantine be technically
that would be pretty cool.
The DCEU. I would love that, dude. Okay, Keanu Reeves is freaking on fire right now, dude.
As long as we also get Shia LaBeouf back.
He died, didn't he?
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure he died. I'm pretty sure he died.
Wasn't he being trained to take over?
He was, and then he died.
Did he? I don't think he did.
Did he die or did he die?
I don't know. It's a comic book movie.
It's a comic book movie, right? So he could die, and then not die. Yeah,
because it's comics.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're bringing back what's his name, Chris Pine in Wonder Woman, right? So
that's time travel.
Yeah,
no,
is it time travel?
That's not time travel.
Is it whatever?
You think it's time travel?
It's wishing magic.
Yeah,
it's wishing magic.
I've been wondering.
Because in the newest trailer, he says, "I have the power to make your wildest dreams come true."
Really?
Yes.
It's wishing magic.
Yes, it's some sort of stone or something like that makes people's biggest fantasy come true.
Come on.
Like the Infinity Stones in the
that could work in a comic book, but it wouldn't work. And okay, we're jumping ahead to our conversation here a little too soon. Out of these two, would you prefer Keanu Reeves or would you prefer?
I think I'd be fine with either of them, honestly.
Yeah. Alberto?
I'd be probably a little more of a fan of the other actor who's not Keanu Reeves. I think you said his name was Matt Ryan, only because I haven't watched his take on CW and Legends of Tomorrow yet. So for someone like me, it's going to be like a new, fresh take regardless. And I feel like I've seen Keanu Reeves' take and I liked it, and I'll probably rewatch it one day too, just because it is Keanu Reeves. So plus Keanu Reeves, I mean, I'm going to be playing with him in Cyberpunk this fall, so I'm okay.
The guy's everywhere.
Yeah,
as much as 2020
sucks. Got John Wick 4 coming out soon.
Yeah, as much as 2020 sucks, the silver lining is Keanu Reeves is everywhere kicking ass.
He's a national
Bill and
treasure.
Ted was amazing. If you haven't seen it yet,
don't spoil it for me, Dan.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just saying go see it because it is everything you expect and hope and want from a Bill and Ted movie. It's just so good. I would recommend watching the other two first, just to kind of get a refresher on exactly the logic.
I do want to ask one question. Dan.
Their humor and their time travel and their all of that logic that works in that show or the movies. I would recommend maybe getting a refresher on the other two, but it was great.
Can I ask you one question? Because
I will try to answer it without spoiling anything.
That's fine. Okay. So I was watching the end of Bogus Journey. They had sons, Little Bill and Little Ted. In this movie, they have daughters. Is that mentioned?
So anyway,
okay.
Moving on. I don't want to give away.
Is it gaming news time?
All right,
move on.
One way or the other. I will say this: the fact that it's their daughters in this movie is pretty awesome. The casting of that was perfect. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on. What's next? What do we got next?
I'll run up the gaming news real quick.
Tee it up, Christian. Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So it's kind of a rapid fire this week. So PS4/PS5, obviously for months now, we've been seeing more rumors about release date, pricing, all that stuff for PS5. There have been multiple leaks, multiple rumors stating that September 9th, so 3 days from today, there is going to be a surprise PlayStation press conference announcing the release date, pricing, and all of that of the PS5. September 9th marks the 25th anniversary from the original PlayStation launching in North America.
Huh. So
it's an interesting date.
It's a significant date in PlayStation history.
The announcement of the end of console gaming on that date.
And in the most recent Call of Duty trailer and release information, they said that the PlayStation 5 version of Call of Duty will be available in North America and Canada before holiday 2020 and in other regions post holiday 2020.
Okay, but before holiday, that could mean anywhere between
that's
and
showing
January 1st.
So that's showing though that they're expecting a staggered release. It will not release across the world simultaneously.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The current rumor is November 20th. Which
there isn't a price though, right? That's what they're saying. The announcement.
That's the current rumor speculation is November 20th at $499. for the base PS5. $399 for the digital is the current rumored price point. So,
alrighty, there was rumors of Xbox price point floating around for a while too, right?
yeah, they've been all over the place.
Like $499, $399.
Yeah, supposedly the like digital one, the cheaper one for Xbox is gonna be like $199 or something like that. I don't know.
Has there been an Xbox announcement of a digital version of their console coming out or no?
So they didn't announce anything, but there's the Xbox Series X, which is the one they've been hyping. And
then there's the Series S.
The Series S, which is going to be like a super toned down, like base performance model.
Right, but is that going to be all digital like PlayStations or no?
No, not to my current understanding.
Okay. Joe's not here, so we can't ask him.
Yeah.
We'll have him give us an update later.
What do you mean by digital PlayStation?
So the PlayStation, they're having a version with a disc tray and a version with no disc tray.
So basically, Bobby, all digital means you're playing the whole thing off your hard drive. You're not bothering going to GameStop or Walmart or standing in line at Best Buy to get the latest game. You just download it right to your hard drive, and there it is.
So we're putting Alberto out of business because he used to work at GameStop.
Well, not Alberto. I think we can have a fun little interview about that sometime, but I'm sure you don't mind not working at GameStop for the rest of your life, right?
I mean, there was definitely like some things that I miss, but probably 90% of it I don't.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Christian, any Nintendo news?
Yeah, so they had their 35th anniversary Nintendo Direct this week.
Oh, yeah.
Rapid fire of information. They released a ton of it.
My social media is blowing up.
So they announced Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which I know me and Alberto are both pretty excited about. September 18th coming to the Switch.
Guys, why are you so excited about this? I don't
because it's packaging 3 of the best 3D platforming games of all time.
Yes, and you can play them already on multiple different platforms.
Yes, but it's packaging them in better graphics on the most recent platform for less than you still can't buy Super Mario Sunshine for less than $40 on a GameCube.
It wasn't released digitally at all anywhere?
Nope.
Yeah, that was like the one that wasn't on.
That's the only reason people are buying it then.
Yes.
That's why
that's the big one.
You can get Mario 64 digitally everywhere.
It
was on the DS like years ago with multiple characters added.
Right. So this one's got Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 64, and Super Mario Galaxy all in one collection, releasing September 18th. It is going to be $60. But still, for 3 full games, that's not a bad price. We got refreshed graphics.
3. So wait a minute, 3 full games, but they're older games, and they're releasing it for $60
because it's like the better graphical quality.
It should be a $40 price point, if you ask me. That should be $40.
I got the exact same criticism as Dan because this weekend I bought Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and that is a remake.
Yeah,
full games. But then they added in 700 challenges and online mode, creative park mode. Huge upgrades to creative skater mode.
And that was only what,
$40. So I'm like, come on.
I do agree. I do think it should be $40.
I mean, I felt the same way about all the Resident Evil games when they re-released the remakes of I'm like, no, these should not be like $50 or $60.
Yeah,
it should be $40, $30. Like that's. Especially for all of us who love these games and we just want to have them in our library again because maybe somebody got rid of the system and the game,
but
you just want to have it again. But
this is one big reason why one day I'm still advocating one day we'll do a whole episode on remakes, reboots, remasters.
We will. Yeah, we definitely will.
Oh, that's a great idea for sure. We should definitely do that.
Yeah. Nintendo also was talking about a couple other things. Now, here's the big gripe people had with this Nintendo conference. They announced a multiplayer Mario game for the first time. It's at the bottom of this article. Did any of you ever play the Tetris game that they released? The like Tetris Battle Royale game?
Yeah, they're doing a Mario Battle Royale game.
Yes. So it's 35 players. It's actually up a little bit. I apologize.
Did I miss it?
It was right before it was the Super Mario All-Stars, right above that one. You're right there.
Right here.
So 35 players, and you're all playing the same level. And when you kill an enemy or hit a block, that affects the other player's levels. Enemies go to other people's levels, that sort of stuff. So the same type of way where you could like send stuff to other people's Tetris games and that sort of stuff. So people obviously have been hoping and praying for some sort of multiplayer BR Super Mario game for a long time. But here's the thing that people are upset about. This game is going to be available October 1st, 2020. So coming out relatively soon. You will only be able to play it, not buy it, play it until March 31st, 2021, and then they will be deactivating the servers.
I heard about that. That's lame.
What?
It is a limited time 35th anniversary special.
How much
experience.
are they charging for that?
They did not specify.
Oh my god.
Wait,
what?
the Battle Royale one?
Yes.
I heard that one's going to be free, just like the Tetris.
Is it?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It
free.
better be.
Yeah,
But
that one's
also-
going to
It
be free.
better be
and
freaking
have a
free.
subscription. Yeah.
But still, so you get
Still.
5 months for this game. only.
What? Why does
Yeah.
Nintendo do stuff like that? Like,
It is
same, okay,
because
so
they're
the
doing it for the
3D
fiscal year.
anniversary, whatever crazy bundle thing that you guys are freaking out about, they already said that it's going to be a limited window of time that's going to be available, not only physically but also digitally, right?
Yeah,
And
but you
it's
only
like
at least
6
that
months.
one. At least that
and
one
then
is
it's
just purchase. You'll still be able
Right.
to play it after that
Right, but what sense in the world does that make
because they're limited
For
edition 35th
digital
anniversary.
release? For a digital release?
Yeah,
What
I
is
know.
the point?
It doesn't make sense, but that's their reasoning.
From a business standpoint, I mean,
Physical disc,
it's-
great.
It's the end
I
date.
understand.
The end date was interesting because it's ending March 31st, which is the end of fiscal years for a lot of companies. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be a
That's
huge
just shenanigans
it's
right
just for
there.
a huge push for the investors to show some real big numbers. Because I mean, if you look at Nintendo's like release window for 2020, honestly, it's been quiet ever since Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
They know that, and they're like, "Well, we got to do something for Christmas."
So here's
nothing.
okay.
comes
So
out.
here's I don't want to spend too much time on this, obviously, because we got to get to our discussion. But I'm trying to make sense of what they're thinking is going on in the minds of a consumer who really just wants to play Mario Sunshine.
Here's I'm
Like,
gonna be completely honest with you. Here's the thing with Nintendo. Nintendo has shown a proven track record and history of not understanding their audience or their fan base.
And understanding the demand, or they do and they just don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
I was gonna
like
say
that-
there was one time when I was working at GameStop, and when the Switch was like coming out and stuff, I was asking them like, "Are they gonna do a price drop, a bundle?" Xbox and Sony always do these kind of things.
Nope.
And the Nintendo rep guy, he was talking to me. He's like, "I'm gonna be honest with you, they're not gonna do any price drop." I'm like, "Are you sure? Or is it just a hunch?" I'm like, "I've been working with this company for a long time, and if there's just one thing I know,
Not what they do.
this is like the Apple company. Like they
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah,
about
they are. They're
everyone
the
else
Apple
doing.
company without
They're
a doubt.
gonna keep
Alberto.
charging full price because
And that's always gonna keep them in third place.
Well, and here's the thing. Okay, so
third
for
place.
those
They're doing pretty well, but
for a game that is that high demand of Mario Sunshine being released digitally, right? To say that we are going to release it now as only part of this bundle and it's going to be for a limited window, and that's really the only reason anybody's actually going to be buying it.
For the most part, yeah.
And to say it's only for that limited window means that it's only for those who have a Switch at that window of time.
And the Switches aren't available anymore right now because they're all
Right.
sold
You
out.
can't find them anywhere.
Yeah.
So
this
so
is
what is the logic of saying, hey, we're not going, like, that even makes the whole thing make less sense, Christian,
It's not even to
then
drive
it's not
console
like
sales.
you're driving sales of Switches by people going, oh crap, I got to get a Switch and get an account and get all set up so I can
They
buy
can't.
this thing so that I have it forever. Nope, can't get a Switch anywhere either. Like, what is the logic there? It would be cheaper for someone if they didn't have a Switch. Like
So-
me, if I want to play Mario Sunshine, it would be cheaper
To go buy
for
a
me to go buy a
GameCube.
Wii or
Or a
buy
GameCube,
a GameCube
Yeah.
and play it on physical disc
Yeah, it would be.
forever. Like,
So,
that would be way easier.
I'm going to throw an evil story. My brother is one of those people who go around to various stores buying toys and other items that are hot sellers and then going on eBay.
So the reason why the Switches aren't
enemies.
available is because
Well,
of
he's-
people like your brother.
Well, my brother's
Probably.
not doing it for the Switch. He's doing it for toy figures and then
Oh
going
my
on
God.
eBay.
No,
But he's telling
don't get me
people,
started on people like
but
that.
yeah.
people,
People used to do that for Amiibos.
and he told me that someone went into a Target and bought out the 9 Switches they had out and they let them do it.
Ridiculous.
So
ridiculous.
Because the retailers don't care who buys it; they just want to sell
They
them.
just want their cut. That's
unless
true.
it's toilet paper and paper towels,
Yeah,
then
true.
they'll limit you.
necessity.
Yeah.
Considered a necessity. Yeah.
So
long story short, Nintendo is pulling a Disney Vault, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And everybody hated the Disney Vault thing too. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well,
who's paid $30 for?
We
Mulan?
shouldn't keep too much time on
Definitely
this.
not.
So let's keep going.
I have not spent any money on Mulan. I figured
I'm not
I'd wait
going
a
to.
few
It's
months.
coming out in December. If
Right.
it was like a full year, I would have considered it. But for 3 months, it's not worth $30.
Same.
Exactly. Alrighty. So that's Nintendo news.
Yep, that's all I got.
That was fun.
All right. So since Joe isn't here, I was gonna just tackle a couple real quick Xbox and PC.
Yeah, let's go
news.
for it.
There was definitely some interesting news. Starting on Xbox, they announced that Xbox is gonna launch this online workshop called Xbox Academy. People ages 16 and up can sign up for it, and it's like online workshop and seminars where people from the actual game industry will be leading these workshops for aspiring game developers. And some of the like one company that's for sure going to be there is Playground Games, who notably works on the Forza series. So it's kind of cool because this workshop is free. There's a limited space, so you got to sign up for it. But I think it's really cool that like they're going to be talking about their own personal experience, like when we approach game design and game development. Here's
That would be
I do, my company does.
I'd like to just be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
And, I think it's awesome, and it's going to be 4 sessions. You can sign up starting today. I have
a limited thing though. Like they're only allowing so many people, or what?
Yeah. There's going to be supposedly a limited capacity. That number, I don't know. I couldn't find it, but
okay.
Still though, it's really cool.
Sign up now if you want to, unless it's already locked up. But
yeah, exactly.
Interesting, cool.
So I think it's kind of cool. And then earlier you guys were talking about Xbox Series X possible price leak. Supposedly there was a article that came out that Pringles of all companies might have accidentally given out the Xbox Series X. Yeah, the price. So they were looking at the labeling, packaging, and stuff, and trying to translate it as best as they can, because I think this package was from Africa, so they're trying to translate it to like modern day English or whatever kind of like.
Wow.
And from
people are hardcore about that if they're trying to. Wow.
So from best of speculation, there's been like the first estimate that some group of people were saying $800.
Shut up.
But then after someone else like looking a little more into it, they started to look at it and they started reading it. And there's this company called Critical Hit. They're arguing that it's probably going to be around $600 instead. That's at least what they think from the translation, from the packaging. And $600 is maybe a little bit higher than what we thought, but 600 is also the highest I would have ever imagined the Series X to come out as.
What?
So
how does Pringles even know that and have it listed anywhere in any of their marketing, let alone their marketing in another corner of the world that is not even?
I think I remember seeing, aren't they running some sort of promotion or something?
Yeah,
okay, sure, but
some sort of random price.
They're doing like a giveaway of like the value of an Xbox Series X. I'm sure for tax reasons they probably got to know the value of it, but
yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
That would make sense, I guess. That's weird.
So it's a maybe. I mean, it's still a rough translation, but maybe it gives at least some people at least a rough idea how much to save up for. And
yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree it's a pretty safe bet. They're going to be $400 at the cheapest, $600 at the most expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be somewhere in that.
Yeah.
And then the digital version for PS5 and the Series S for Xbox will probably be in the $200 to $400 range.
Comparable, yeah. All righty. Well, that's that. And then you got movie news for us, Alberto?
Yeah. Well, I got just one PC news. It was really cool because it can kind of rival the next gen consoles. There is a new set of graphics card to be coming out from the makers of the GeForce. I'm going to butcher the name. I just started PC gaming, so all PC gamers, please forgive me. But NVIDIA, they announced recently their new RTX 30 series, So right now, this is a lot of PC spec talks, but right now, if you wanted to go get a top of the line graphics card from this company, which is part of their 20 series, you're paying close to like $1,000 just to get that. Now they just announced they're going to be doing a 30 series, and the founders model, which is like the most base version of it, which is still more powerful than their previous series, is going to be starting at $499. So a lot of people that just upgraded or just started buying their 20 series stuff, they're all already upset because now there's points like my piece that I just spent $700, $900, $1,200 on is now officially obsolete already. And this 30 series is going to be coming out this month, or at least the pre-orders are going to be coming out this month. I was talking to Lucas about it, and he's super excited because once again, like PS5 and Xbox Series X, they're trying their best to put so much hardware in it to make it as a high-end PC. Well, now the definition of what a high-end PC at that same price point just changed again, basically.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool because if the Xbox and the PS5 is going to end up being around 500, you can potentially get this graphics card that can do a lot better for the same price if you already have a PC at home.
If you've already got a beefy enough PC to handle it, yeah,
exactly. As long as you have like an i7, i9, or something along those lines. But from the comparison specs, it is tenfold just over the 20 series. So it's really cool, and it makes me kind of sad because I have a GTX and I have a 1660 Ti, and here I am thinking, oh, I have a pretty decent card, and now this is announced, and I was like, I'm running Windows 98 now, basically. So
like there's a commercial from years ago where it was like the new thing. Hey, I got the new thing, and then you see a bus drive by with the newest new thing, and you're like, oh, shit, really? You're already lame. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, that's kind of how the PC world, gaming world is, though.
Yeah, no, it is.
It really is.
They're all about upgrading their stuff, and I think it's cool. It's a world one day I'll jump in when I have a little more, income that I can just throw around like that.
It's true.
But onto movies. Unfortunately, two sad news in the movies. Earlier this week, if you're a fan of the Batman, you were probably super bummed to know that production was paused yet again. At first, it was rumored that someone, cast and crew was positive with Corona, and then eventually rumors started flowing around that it was Robert Pattinson himself, and then eventually that was confirmed. So it's a huge bummer. And there was a small rumor that started that they were going to try to continue filming with his stunt double, whatever they could, but the director has since said it's like, no, we're just not even gonna risk it. No, we're just gonna go on pause. They probably will start again. I would say probably the safe bet at least 4 weeks, because I know the incubation period is.
Yeah, it depends on how long ago he tested positive as well.
Yeah, exactly.
2 weeks from the point of testing positive, I think it's like the standard thing.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean,
like
they've been getting some bad luck with production scheduling.
Yeah.
This finally, is it just me, or am I going to watch this movie now and at a few moments be thinking, I wonder if he was having COVID-19 in this shot?
Yeah.
Did he give that guy COVID just then?
When he beat the crap out of that guy in the parking lot.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. He was wearing gloves and a mask. He's fine.
Yes.
He wasn't wearing a face mask. He was wearing
there you go, Bobby.
And chin.
And he wasn't 6 feet apart. I'm
wearing a mask. I'm fine. No, the one part you're not wearing is the one that matters, dude.
I can hear your voice. You have these symptoms.
So definitely wishing the best for him and casting crew, and hopefully they're all staying safe. But this is just a reminder. I mean, like The Rock also was tested positive. Family. So I mean, it can take down the big name celebrities too. It can take down everyone really.
Like months ago when we heard Tom Hanks got it, we're like, oh no, yeah, Tom Hanks. Yeah, now like celebrity after celebrity is.
Yeah, because sometimes you kind of think it's like, oh, they got money, it's impossible to get sick, and then like name after name, you're like, oh, okay, I guess.
COVID don't care.
COVID doesn't care. Like
COVID don't care.
They don't care if you have 8 bathrooms in your house. Like
exactly,
they can still get you. So,
but is there anything in the article about this pushing back the release date? Potentially or no?
Not that
they didn't have
not yet.
like a steady date yet, anyways. So
that's a good point.
Question mark 1 was the release date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Bobby. So okay, and then the last piece of news, super sad.
Super sad.
Everybody already knows.
Can't ignore it. It was the most liked tweet in Twitter history when the news broke out. Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passed. No one honestly knew. Yeah. I was reading the article, and in the article was saying that really just producing partner, his trainer, his wife, they were really the only ones that knew about this. So Cole,
he didn't even tell Marvel.
Yeah.
No, like, Kevin Feige didn't know. He found out in an email that night.
Yeah, an hour before the news broke.
He said that he
really. I did not hear that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feige found out
an hour before. Yep.
And it turns out he had cancer while filming Black Panther.
All of it.
And all of it. Every single
he made. Civil
he
War,
was fighting
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And
he was
what?
Sorry, Belto.
No. I was gonna just touch up on what Bobby was starting to say about like
strong man that is. Wow.
Yeah.
That like even during his treatments and the surgeries and the chemo, he kept working on more movies and still got nominations during that time. So it's
all the children's hospital visits and stuff too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
like, that's the definition of a hero right there.
There was a lot of slack because he lost a lot of weight, and people are saying, "Oh no, it's for its new role. It's for its new role." Everyone stopped body shaming him. So he was going through chemo.
They all feel like a bunch of a-holes now, don't they?
Yeah.
No, they probably don't feel bad about it at all.
Yeah, you should definitely.
So
one thing that definitely hit me a lot when it first happened, and I was talking about this with my sister, is that I remember in the 90s when Spawn and Steel, for better or for worse, came out, and it was the first of the African American superheroes finally on the big screen. And now with like Black Panther came out, like that wasn't just a cool movie, that was a huge cultural impact thing. It gave honestly
as great as Blade was, like this was more
mainstream.
Blade was
and it was and here's the thing I think that I loved about Black Panther was it made you think a little bit more about the conflict and the dialogue about what is the right approach for fighting for your rights and your freedom and your liberty, really. And it's a conversation I think that has been taking place around the civil rights conversation for a long time. I mean, you think about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, like they were having that conversation.
Yeah.
About what the right approach is.
Portrayed on the big screen.
Right. And for them to take the core of that conflict and that conversation, that's extremely important, and put it out there for the rest of the world to see in a visual representation that most people hopefully are able to understand and connect with on some level. But then to do it in such a way that really empowers the conversation of those within the Black community and kids. I mean, you think about young boys and young girls, the women in that movie. Like, if you want a strong feminist icon portrayal of women, like Black Panther is it when it comes to the Marvel movies, if you ask me.
No, honestly, it was tragic. And I love the tribute that Marvel Studios posted on their YouTube channel. Got over 1 million likes on there too. I mean, there was tons of love for him, the cast and crew, and like you guys were all saying, like just to know how resilient and strong he was during that whole time, and really none of us knew. Like none of us.
It didn't never leak, never rumored, nothing.
Yeah, and it was stage 3 colon cancer.
It progressed to the stage 4 then by the time he did Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. So, like, my God, like this guy was really just wanted to live life to the fullest and didn't want to let anything stop. And if he knew that his clock was ticking, I mean.
So think for a second about him watching and responding to people react to the death of Black Panther in Infinity War. And like knowing the reality of how that could actually be for him for real. Dang, dude, I'm gonna cry even more when I watch that movie now.
Yeah.
You know, like that was one of the saddest moments of the whole movie. Like you think the way that they set it up, you think it's gonna be someone else other than him.
Yeah.
And it ends up being him, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
well, let me ask you guys a question. Since I've been hearing a couple rumors circulating about this, I want your opinion. I've heard 3 different rumors about how they're going to go about with Black Panther 2. The one that I think is the most likely is they're just going to have his sister Shuri take over the role of Black Panther. But I've heard 2 other rumors. One being they're just going to recast the character. I think that would be the worst option.
Yeah.
The other one is because Black Panther 2 is going to be taking place after Doctor Strange 2, that you could have an alternate universe T'Challa come out.
Yeah, there's ways to get around that. I could see that.
But honestly, I think even if it's an alternate universe one, I think that's still recasting in my opinion. And I think you're better off just letting that character rest and continuing on with the franchise in a different way. But
if Disney wasn't willing to recast Carrie Fisher in Rise of Skywalker, I don't think they're going to have the guts to recast Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther. So
I agree. And I don't even think it's about guts. I think it's about respect, honestly.
That too.
Yeah, and the fan reaction. I mean, there's not to tear up Marvel fans, because I get how sad and tragic all of this is, but did you guys see the news about how Marvel fans were basically railroading and harassing Scarlet Witch, the girl that played Scarlet Witch?
I heard about that. That's horrible.
She didn't apparently respond quick enough with the rest of the Marvel cast on social media in responding to
so she like deleted all her social media.
Right. She just went straight off social media completely because of the way that people were bullying and harassing her. It's like, one, people have lives. They're not on social media all the time. 2,
she doesn't owe it to anybody to make a comment about it.
She doesn't owe it to anybody. And more than that, I feel like she could very easily be grieving in her very own way and getting out on social media and putting it up. Like, she may not even know what to say because she's processing it herself.
Exactly.
Like, in what world does she owe anybody anything? Like,
because she's a celebrity
her own way, you know?
Unfortunately, people feel like because they see these people on a baseball field or in a movie or on TV or whatever, that they're then owed some sort of
or
entry into their life.
Like that her lack of responding in any way
is a lack of respect.
Is a lack of respect or a lack of not caring, or you know what I mean? Like, no, she was acting with him in some of these movies too, and she's processing it her own way. Let her do that. Like, what the, like when the Snyder Cut was going crazy and everybody was tweeting out, release the Snyder Cut, and every member of the cast except for Henry Cavill responded at all. DC fans weren't going, you're like tearing him to pieces.
Some probably were.
Where are your support? Where, but not to the extent of like pushing him off social media because they were bullying him. If anything, most of the DC fans were like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Where is Henry Cavill? Why isn't he chiming in about it? And that was basically it. Like, that was the end of that.
How everybody was like, "Oh, where was Jason Momoa at DC Fandom?"
Right.
But nobody was blowing him up on Twitter. Weird. Like, "Oh, why aren't you there? You don't care." Like,
we're not reading into it going, well, that guy just he's just full of it. He doesn't even care anymore. Look at that. He didn't even show up to DC Fandom. What's wrong with him? I thought you liked it. I thought you cared about the Snyder Cut. Blah.
Right. Exactly.
No. Maybe that's my own personal DC fandom coming out a little bit, but I feel like DC world does not respond that way, unlike the Marvel and Star Wars fandom.
I think we can all agree the Star Wars fandom is the worst.
Oh, for sure. We've had that conversation.
Yeah. we should probably try to jump to the topic here
I was
shortly.
going to say we should, but I feel like we've kind of already been having a little bit of the conversation.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which is totally okay with me. Because Black Panther was amazing. And I absolutely loved it. We're doing top 3 though.
Yeah, top 3.
Top 3.
It was hard. It was a hard list. I had about 6 or 7 that
I know. I kept throwing you guys for a loop because I kept going, no, it has to be live action, not animated.
Yeah, because I think me and Alberto
theaters
both
rather than released on TV or a streaming service somewhere. Or
I think me and Alberto both had Into the Spider-Verse in our top 3, I think.
I figured some of you guys are going to throw that in there, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
it's a great comic book movie.
If we're talking live action adaptation.
We're talking adapting a comic book character and story arc into a live action motion picture to show in theaters. That's what we're talking about.
So we're doing top 3 first or bottom 3 first?
I
think we should do top 3 first because bottom's gonna be more fun.
Oh, it will be more fun. The bottom one will be more fun.
Dan, I did figure out the top grossing and the highest ranked movies. So top one is no surprise. Anyone want to guess what's the highest grossing superhero movie of all time?
Endgame.
Steel.
Alberto?
Steel. Shaq. Was that it?
Steel?
Am I close?
It is Avengers Endgame with a global box office of $2.79 billion and a domestic box office of $854 million. And the highest rated one, anyone? Bueller?
Positive rating.
Highest positive rating.
What is this?
RottenTomatoes.com.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Can you give us a hint, like
I want to say Dark Knight because I feel like that had one person who reviewed it.
I'll give you a hint. We were just talking about it within the last 5 seconds.
Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Oh,
highest
really?
rated. Above and right below it is Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
Oh,
that's
what's
awesome.
the lowest?
The lowest
We'll
one.
get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Save it. Save it.
We'll
We're doing the best right now.
Sorry, I thought we were.
You're the one who said we should wait and do that later, and now you're all like, "What's the?"
I got confused. That's right.
Hold your horses.
I saw a shiny chicken, and
we'll get there. We'll get there. All right.
Alberto's got a farm. I saw the chicken, and
I know.
Definitely. So let's go. Okay, so Bobby. Let's start with you. Your top 3, and it looks like now you do throw honorable mentions in there too. Your top 3 favorite.
Well, it was hard. Maybe I'm top 3 favorites, top 3 well made, whatever. But yeah,
right.
There's a lot
your
of
top 3. Here's your top 3.
It's what you asked me today. Might change tomorrow.
That could change tomorrow. So number 1 is
Batman, the original Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
So let's start. Okay. So number 1 is Batman. I was going to count down. I thought I'm going left to right, and I thought it was 3-1, but
it doesn't matter.
Sounds
I mean,
good.
like I said, yeah. So Batman is one of the first superhero movies I remember seeing in the theater. It has Prince in the soundtrack. It has a lot of memorable quotes. Can you dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? And, Party Man and I'm Batman. That's where it all stemmed from. And and this was the original. The Dark Knight Returns was the basis of this movie. Not story wise, but the tone of it. That's why they chose this.
Like the dark, gritty,
grittiness of it. So
here's, here's the thing. I think Warner Brothers has, and we can probably see the history of this in the good and the bad as we're bouncing back and forth. Unlike Marvel, Warner Brothers has a really, really crazy history of all of their properties swinging on a pendulum of ridiculous, absolutely silly, totally targeted towards kids and selling toys, and then way over to the other side. Now we're going to go dark and gritty and serious and make sure we're hitting all the adults.
It's true.
Like Superman, the original Superman. Whoosh, hey, this is optimistic. It's great. Yeah, kids will enjoy it, but it's definitely something adults can enjoy. He's literally seeing Lois die and, like all this crazy stuff, and he could drown. And then all the way over to Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, where it is absolutely absurd and ridiculous and basically killed the superhero movie genre for like forever. And then the next time Warner Brothers jumps into the superhero pool, it's Bobby's favorite movie.
Batman 1989.
You guys
Batman
want to-
1989.
you wanna know
Like they went
something
the
crazy?
whole opposite direction, right?
Right.
And then you watch the Batman series. What do they do with that? It was serious. It was dark. It got even more serious and dark. And then suddenly Joel Schumacher gets brought in, and now it's absolutely absurd. And it's all about the video games and the toys and the craziness until Batman and Robin basically put a fork in it and killed the entire concept for forever until Christopher Nolan comes in. And which direction does he go? All the way back over and say, hey, now we're going to take it seriously. Now it's going to be more dark. Now it's going to be more believable. Not like it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then you got the Dark Knight, and then you got Dark Knight Rises. And I mean, eventually it goes all the way to Zack Snyder and all his versions. And then, now we're going into Suicide Squad. Now we're going into the Justice League. And then now what are they doing? Right, Shazam. And then now they're swinging all the way back with the Snyder Cut and allowing it to go more serious and more like they're never consistent. It's always back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So anyway,
interesting.
That was a real big
That is a
soapbox
really
for
good
me and my
observation.
relationship with Warner
that
Brothers,
Batman
but-
movie from
That's a
beginning
good
to end.
observation. So
but 2
Captain
is
America, the First Avenger.
nice.
I'm
So-
surprised you picked First Avenger, not the fan favorite Winter Soldier or something.
Right. So Winter
So yours
Soldier
is the first Avenger, though.
Yes. So, and I'll tell you why this is my favorite. There is an emotional, and it's a very it's very formula movie.
You and I disagree on this movie so much.
We do, but
And we've talked about it, but
we've talked to this in private, but I felt like a kid watching this movie. I love the original Superman movie, watching Christopher Reeves, and this invoked that feeling. Every time I watch this movie, I'm getting goosebumps right now. I see this guy who puts his own life in the line, who goes to war, does not like bullies, is fighting the good fight, the superhero I always wanted to be. It could have been on the verge of campy, but I felt it
totally was, but
it was campy, but I felt it struck the right balance.
all right.
I felt it struck a right balance. And to me, after I saw that movie, I said, everything else, all those team up movies are possible.
If anything, for me, it's definitely my favorite of the Phase 1 MCU, for sure. It's the one that I probably revisit the most and easily. And yes, I know Iron Man's in there and Avengers is in there. First Avenger, I don't know. There's something about it from the beginning of him being like, I can do this all day.
It is the best first appearance of one of the core Marvel characters. Because the Iron Man 1 as a movie is better than Iron Man 2 and 3, but Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is better in 2 and 3 than he was in 1. The movies are worse.
Going to give me an aneurysm.
The
Just
movies
listening
are
to
worse,
you.
but he's better.
No.
He goes, stop it.
I could not disagree with you guys more on this movie.
Chris
It
Evans
is one
was
of the
perfect from
worst.
get-go.
It is one of the worst MCU films and probably the most irrelevant of the MCU movies, particularly Phase 1 movies. Like
I can. Whoa, no. I think we're gonna open up a whole.
I know. I just
I
dropped a hand grenade in that
Endgame
conversation.
literally
We'll
makes
save
it one
for
of
a more.
the most relevant.
We'll save it for a more
Yes.
Marvel.
We'll save it.
Thank
We'll
you.
save it for the
Thank
MCU
you.
episode.
But
But
that'll be an interesting conversation because it is without a doubt in my bottom 3 Marvel movies of all time. I cannot stand how corny and campy and cheesy action.
But I'm also not
just
surprised.
like
I'm also-
No,
in
not
your
surprised.
face cheese
Somebody who enjoyed The Last
Americana.
but that's what was beautiful about it. Too.
No,
Yes.
no. The only redeeming value to that movie, in my mind, is the fact that Steve Rogers has to question everything about that movie in the best MCU movie, one of the best MCU movies, which is The Winter Soldier. Like the psychological dialogue in his own mind of, do I trust the government? Do I not? what is my role within all of this? Am I just a soldier? Am I more than that? Am I an icon? If I'm an icon, that means I'm an icon for this country. What exactly is this? Like that sort of psychological and social, and like, I love that kind of dialogue and conversation.
But you can't have the Winter Soldier without that base, because he was.
You can definitely establish it. They did establish it at the very beginning of the movie. They established it right off the gate.
Anyway,
at the very beginning of the movie. Anyways,
what's number 3?
Number
three.
three.
I'm going to say Watchmen. Zack Snyder's Watchmen.
Very nice.
I think it is a very well adapted movie. They made some creative choices, and I'm happy with it. It's very hard to adapt a graphic novel, and he was very true to the comic book movie. Now, I'm fine with what happened at the end, that they made Dr. Manhattan the scapegoat, not the giant squid at the end of the movie. And I think if you watch the director's cut with the pirate comic book in it, it makes it gives it an extra layer.
Totally agree.
I think it's a beautiful, well-written, well acted, well portrayed movie, and it didn't get enough credit because it just it wasn't marketed well. People thought it was a Justice League movie, and it's not what they got.
No, and it was extremely violent and rated R, which is not something people were used to
or not ready for yet.
And ready for a comic book movie. So
the only thing I wasn't ready for was that Hallelujah.
Oh God, the most awkward. We can just get past that whole sequence of the movie.
Pretty sure
that was the most awkward.
Song 3 times over in that scene. Like that was like a 37-minute scene.
That was the most awkward thing ever. I definitely skip past it every time because it's just, it's odd. It's awkward and ruined that song for me too, if you ask me. But on the whole, though, Bobby, I'm totally with you. Like it is almost a shot for shot. Like they basically just took the graphic novel and used that as their storyboard.
Right. And even in the beginning
of
the
perfect.
Even at the title sequences, when they're going over all the past superheroes and you're catching up to the present, it does such a beautiful job. You don't have to go into all of that detail, but it does a good enough job showing all the ups and downs of that past.
Yeah.
So,
and then your honorable mention
is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie.
The original one.
The original one. Yes.
I'm curious why you have all of these others in there and then you threw in Ninja Turtles.
I know.
Ninja Turtle is a comic book. It is a comic book movie.
I know it is very much a comic book movie, but I'm just surprised that it's like an honorable mention in your top comic book movies of all time.
Yeah.
And like, I know you love like Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's not in here. That's not an honorable mention.
There's a lot of
Ninja
stuff.
Turtles.
I picked the Ninja Turtle. Well,
I'm curious. Please explain.
Again, I was a big Ninja Turtle fan when I was a kid. That was first. Second, I thought, and I still think that the story, the effect, the puppeteering, the way they handled Casey Jones in a realistic manner.
Yeah, they nailed Casey Jones in that movie.
I think the mood of it, how they were ninjas, they were the brothers were they weren't it wasn't the cartoon. They were brothers and they were fighting and they were angsty, and Raphael I saw all the heroes in a different way. They're a little bit more realistic. They weren't cartoony like the newer versions were. I think it was that good balance, and it made me excited for number 2 and number 3.
Yeah, we don't talk about 3, but 2 was good. 2 was pretty good.
What are you talking about?
Did you see the hilarious clips and pictures of what all of those puppets look like now? Did you see any of that?
No,
dude, look it up sometime. They look like straight out of a horror movie. They did not time has not been good to them at all.
To the actual puppets.
The actual puppets that were used in the movies, I swear they look straight out of a horror movie now. I'll
have to look that up.
Terrible. You're like, oh my God. All righty. Moving on up. Alberto.
All right, let's do this.
Your top 3. And we did 3 down to 1, right? Do you want to do your honorable mention here first?
Yeah. First off,
it's a good pick, by the way.
Thank you. You're the first one I know that have seen a History of Violence. I read the graphic novel. I think sometime in high school. I thought it was. I think it was like one of like the very first graphic novels I read, especially ones that wasn't DC or Marvel related. It was kind of like my real first steps into independent graphic novel stories, and I absolutely loved it. The movie, despite the fact that they did take some creative liberties, especially towards I think like the second half or final act, because I remember the endings being different too. Um, it still kept the real gritty, violent story and just like destructive human nature theme that was so prevalent in the graphic novel, and it's often ignored, I think, because it's not Spider-Man and it's not the Flash and it's not everything
it's
else.
not superhero anything.
Yeah,
so you don't think comic book, but it is. It's definitely in that range for sure.
It's super good and one that I would love to revisit one day.
Have any of you guys seen that yet or no?
I have not. I've never even heard of it.
It's good. It's good. There's a lot of
it's super
intense stuff, and it's
it's
History of Violence. So
it is a heavy movie to watch, but
very violent movie. In case you didn't pick up on that one in the title.
I thought it was going to be about like raising puppy dogs.
What gave it away? The gun.
The gun. All right, you're number 3.
Number 3. I won't talk too much about this one because this is not the first time we'll be talking about it. So, Dark Knight. I'm only going to talk about one aspect of it. I remember seeing it with my dad, and on the drive home after watching it on IMAX, we drove all the way out to some theater in Chicago to go watch it, and we're listening to the radio, and a commercial comes on, and the host of the radio, they're talking with their co-host, talking about how amazing the movie was, and how they're like, I think this movie is going to do really well as time goes on, like, and then his other buddy's like, you think so? Because like, and then he's like, yeah, no, I think so. And the co-host was saying, well, it's like really dark and gritty, and it felt so real. I don't know how it's gonna do with everything. And lo and behold, it was breaking box office records left and right as time went on. And I think the reason I've really want to put it on the top 3 because it set, honestly, I want to say, maybe you can argue with me about it, but it really set the standard as to what serious comic book movies can or quote unquote should be during like that like late 2000s getting into like the next decade. Everyone was trying to do a Dark Knight. Everyone was trying to be Dark Knight. And this same topic goes to my second choice, which was Spider-Man, the 2001, because just like Dan was saying, the 80s and the 90s, and especially the decades before, they were rough times for superhero movies. No one really took them serious. No one really cared too much crazy for them. And when they did, they were either too campy, like way to one side, way to the other. Spider-Man, I want to say, was like did what Dark Knight ended up being, and it became the standard. I mean, after that, that's it. Like everyone was trying to buy a Marvel IP, and then came out Daredevil, Elektra, Punisher, Blade. Like everyone was like, okay, everyone was interested in this, and everyone really liked Spider-Man. And especially when Spider-Man 2 came out, then everyone was like, we need to make a Spider-Man 2. And it just never really caught on. So I felt like not only was it a huge cultural impact, but Spider-Man 1 in particular, I had a tough time deciding between this one or 2. I know critically everyone loves Spider-Man 2 more, but Spider-Man 1 for me, the reason I picked it, there's a few reasons. One, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. Almost 20. Yeah,
he was really good.
Almost 20 years later, and still he's like the pinnacle of villains.
Right.
Movie.
And here's the thing that blows my mind so much about his portrayal in that movie. The costume they gave him.
Yeah.
0 facial expressions at all whatsoever. Like, it's impossible for you to really see his face very well.
That's why he keeps popping the helmet down for half the movie.
And the fact that they went with that creative decision, I don't think was a very smart choice in hindsight, but he was still able to portray all of the crazy and maddening insanity with everything else in his portrayal without even having to see his face most of the time.
I think the
Go ahead,
test of
Bobby.
time shows this. I think this is now compared to all the other movies we've seen. This is pretty campy.
Yeah.
If you watch the, it's a.
If you see it
compared to
now, for
everything,
sure.
you see it now. It's a campy movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of a comic book movie, the tone of being like, if you want to read Amazing
point.
Fantasy 15 and watch that Spider-Man movie, you're getting exactly what you're getting. You're getting
Spider-Man
movie.
was my favorite Marvel, and still is my favorite Marvel superhero. And I was addicted to the comics when I was a kid. So when this hit theaters, I saw it like 3-4 times in the theater. And when I first saw, I can't remember what movie I went to go see, but the original trailer that came out for it was in like late 2000s.
Right before 9/11.
And, or, 2001. Yeah. Right.
It was right before 9/11.
The trailer hit like a month or two before 9/11.
Because they
And
had
it
to
was
change
about
one of
a
the
helicopter
posters.
getting stuck in a gigantic web in between the two towers. And when I saw that first, I mean, it was before 9/11, first time I saw that in the theater, I was like, no way. They're doing a Spider-Man movie, like a legit high-end, high quality. And that was just the teaser. You weren't really even seeing a whole lot.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. I am thrilled to see this movie on someone's list. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, and I just recently rewatched it, and just like Bobby and everyone was saying, it's campy, but
yeah,
I
compared
still
to
love it.
Sedan Sturt.
Yeah, I mean, from Bruce Campbell's little cameo and Macho Man, like they're like as
Macho
Bone
Man's
Crusher. The
Macho Man's the
soundtrack,
best part of that
song
movie.
is ready.
and the final fight between them two, and I don't know, there was like it was awesome. And
it is kind of weird seeing everybody in high school look like they're in their late 20s, though.
Yeah,
that didn't really age well, but
looking like they already filed for a mortgage. And,
right.
They've had 3 divorces.
It's a little weird. Yeah, and then your number one here, Alberto.
Number one, because I'm so excited I brought this Scout Pilgrim versus the World.
Nice.
I absolutely love this movie. Okay, so
I still need to watch it, dude.
Oh, okay.
I know.
My heart right there.
I know.
Yeah,
dude.
that's a good solid.
No,
movie.
it seems like
Dan,
it is my movie.
Dan.
Everyone tells me that. Everyone's like, "How have you not seen this movie?" I'm like, I don't know.
This movie is littered, just like the comics was. It was littered with video game little jokes left and right. So for people, video game enthusiasts, indie rock music enthusiast, this was the huge rise of Michael Cera as well. And I think the thing that really kept it all together was Edgar Wright's directing. If you've seen Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz or any of his movies, he has this really sharp, witty, fast type of comedy that's also dry humor, and it's a perfect balance. And
I might need to watch it this week, and actually we can talk about it. Yeah, and I'll actually do that rather than saying I am like Joe does.
And
Joe,
Chris Evans and Chris Evans and Brandon Roth are in this movie too.
Yeah, it's a great supporting
cast in it too.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, I gotta watch it this week. I'm gonna watch it this week,
and it's awesome because I just was replaying the video game the other day with my girlfriend, and just to know that I
have it on my Xbox, dude.
I mean, rest in peace for it not being on the digital libraries anymore. But for those that have played it, a great beat 'em up game that has
it's a reason to never get rid of your system if you have it on there, because
yeah, I mean, this movie is very easy to revisit because it's fun. It doesn't take itself serious ever. The fight scenes, like you were talking about Watchmen and how it feels like they just took the storyboard and just put it into the movie. I felt like I was almost reading the comic all over again. Now they did take a lot of creative liberties because the comic itself, especially the character of Scott Pilgrim himself, they had to kind of tone him down, I think, a smidge because he was kind of a bigger D-bag, I would say, like in the comic, because he was kind of a ladies' man. He's like, I don't care. Like in the comic, he's pretty cocky, but in the movie, since Michael Cera was in the helm, they're like, let's make him kind of like a cocky nerd a little bit, so still kind of awkward. But it was a really good balance. But all in all, music, the directing, the editing, the casting, the humor, the action sequences. I love it.
Nice.
Best one.
I forget about that movie a lot. It's a
Oh.
really good movie.
It's on Netflix too. So,
All right, Christian, your top three.
All right, so I'll
Let's
go
do
with
your
my-
honorable mention.
Yeah,
here
honorable
first.
mention. Mystery Men.
I love the fact that you put this one on your
Dude,
list.
That's a
somewhere.
this-
great- yeah, it's-
This
movie is awesome. I love this film.
I growing up, I watched this movie all the time, and I watched it again a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, for probably the first time in a long time, and it was amazing how many jokes and references I just went completely over my head when I was growing
Yes.
up. Like, and I know it's not
got
technically
Pee Wee
a
Herman in
comic
it,
book
dude.
movie.
He's awesome. In it.
Like, it's not based on a comic book or anything like that, but this movie embodies comic books. It does not take itself seriously for even a second of the film.
Yeah,
and it's all the better for it.
It is both honoring and like
making fun of every
making fun
comic
of it,
book
like
trope
just
ever.
superhero movies in general and comic book stuff. I love
Yes.
it. Yeah.
When your main villain's main source of attacking is a coke nail, like
and one of the heroes is all
I've
about
never seen
using
this. When did this
cutlery
come
and a
out?
fork.
like 1994 or something
Yeah.
like that.
It would have
Is it-
probably done better if it
It's
was
on
released
Amazon
these
Prime.
days.
It probably would. I think you're totally right about that, Bobby.
Yes, this movie. Hold on, let me see. I had it pulled up here. Oh, 1999.
It's
So-
got a cameo in it from Dane Cook as
Yes.
the Waffle Man.
Yes, it's
And it's hilarious.
and it's got a really good cast. Like it's got a
Does.
really
What a
good
name
cast.
right there.
Yes, Alberto. I would
Waffle
highly recommend you go
Man!
watch
Yeah.
this movie.
Definitely. Alberto, your assignment is to watch Mystery Men, and I'll watch Scott Pilgrim, and then we'll compare notes later. Your number three?
Number three, Avengers Endgame. I know most people prefer Infinity War to it.
I was going to say, why do you
But-
not pick Infinity War?
For me personally, Endgame. I know Infinity War had the bigger emotional payoff because the characters die and all that stuff, but Endgame was a decade in the making emotional payoff. It was the culmination of a story that had been being told since the very first Iron Man movie, and the emotional connection that you feel seeing these characters, and specifically Iron Man, go from where he started to that final ultimate sacrifice. It's just such an impactful moment, and the overall story that they wrap up in that movie was flawless, in my opinion.
If I'm watching the MCU in order of just following Iron Man's character through all the movies that he's in, excellent experience.
Yeah.
You cannot go wrong there.
Yeah.
And
I think-
watching this in the theaters, it was an event, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, definitely.
And
The excitement.
Definitely.
I will say. So fun fact: when I went and saw this movie in the theater opening night, I went and saw it in IMAX 3D. Right? We were given the wrong 3D glasses. So I watched the entire movie blurry
Oh my god.
Why didn't you go talk to somebody?
because we didn't know that it was the wrong glasses until we just thought that it was just
crappy 3D or
crappy
something?
3D or something. We didn't know.
Oh wow.
And it wasn't until a friend of mine who was also in the movie said, "No, ours was fine," that we realized that we were given the wrong glasses. So I went back
Bless
a
your
week
soul.
later and watched it again, and it was still, even already knowing what happened, but getting to see it visually full for the first time. It was
Dude,
just,
I'm surprised you stuck with that and didn't walk out with a headache. Like that
yeah, I know
was-
my eyes were bloodshot for like a
I
week.
would have. Yeah.
It was rough.
It's thrown out.
Number two,
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight. Yeah.
What do you need to say about it? Like Alberto already covered it. It
Yeah.
is the Joker is my favorite comic book villain.
Mhm.
DC, Marvel does not matter. Favorite comic book villain, very close to being my favorite comic book character.
Mm.
And it was the perfect portrayal of the Joker.
One thing that I was thinking about when I was making this list, sometimes I really wish enough people talked about Two-Face, because I think Heath Ledger did such a good job. It unfortunately ended up overshadowing
100% right.
Aaron's performance, I think, as Two-Face, despite
That's
the fact
a good point. That's a
solid-
good point, Alberto.
he did such a solid job at it. And especially at the end when he is ready to shoot the commissioner's kid, because like that's it. Like he's at the all-time low. I mean, that's the ending of the movie, but
Yeah.
everyone thinks in their mind it ended with the Joker spinning in the air at that empty abandoned warehouse and just laughing maniacally. And I'm like, there's still 15 minutes left, and it ended with Two-Face.
Mhm.
Yet every picture and every review and every
his
retro-
descent into madness from
Is
who
the
he
heart
was
of
at the
all
beginning to who he was at the end was really good. That's a good point.
And honestly, I think it is such a shame that we lost Heath Ledger when we did,
Yeah.
because it and I think people will end up looking back on Chadwick Boseman's passing very similarly to how we look back on Heath Ledger's passing at that time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Imagine how vastly different the future of comic book movies would have been as a whole had he gotten to re-portray that character in the third Batman. And like,
and really to be able to explore one of the things I loved about The Dark Knight in general was the tension that existed between the way that the Joker views the world and the way that Batman views the world. And then Harvey Dent is literally Two-Faced, stuck right in the middle, being like torn between the tension of those two, you know?
Also, it's the most oblivious person ever because the Joker had a surgical mask on and you couldn't recognize him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
But no, it's honestly, in my opinion, that movie is
Really
as
good.
close to flawless as a movie can come.
Mhm. I mean, that bank opening scene. Come on. You
One
can
of-
go on YouTube
in
right now.
IMAX even? Hello.
There,
was so
I would
good.
argue it may be the greatest opening sequence in a movie.
So freaking cool. I love
So
it.
good. But it's not your number one.
No,
though. Your number one
I
is.
went back and forth for a solid 2 hours over this.
Did you?
My number one is
I
Logan.
love it.
Like a
Logan.
diagram, yarn,
Excellent.
and everything.
Because while Dark Knight was a better story in an individual packaged movie, Logan, similarly to Endgame, was a completion of a character story arc
Mhm.
that we invested in for 15 years at that point almost.
Yeah.
And
And for him to
2000.
have like that swan song essentially of his character.
finally getting the character that he always should have been.
And the poetic element of tying it in with the Wolverine when the girl who sees people's deaths says, I've seen your death and you're holding your heart in your hand. And then here he's like, and he's holding his daughter's
So good.
hand. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So
That
good.
movie, just every time I watch that movie, I get chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times I've seen
Yeah.
it. And any time that movie is on, I sit down and watch it. Doesn't matter.
and
Like,
if people say that the art form of comic book movies is just like the Marvel-y action popcorny whatever, like they need to see Logan for real. Like
I think
if
it got
you've seen
snubbed.
at the Oscars,
It got
without
snubbed.
a doubt.
I think it got snubbed.
it is the
without a
perfect
doubt.
combination of grittiness, comedy, action, and emotion.
Yeah.
Like any other movie that tries to throw in the scene where the kids shave his facial hair into the Wolverine facial hair doesn't work. But
Yeah,
this
right.
movie, it fits perfectly because it lightens the mood just enough.
The best example that I can compare it to, and one of the reasons why I say for sure it got snubbed, is that it is essentially a modern day Unforgiven, if you've seen that movie, and that thing got 5 Academy Awards. So
if Logan replaced the comic book aspect of it with it being an action movie,
action
like
or Western
John
or whatever.
Wick,
Yeah.
if Logan was John Wick, but that storytelling, it would have won Academy Awards.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like the whole notion, of all of the Wolverine portrayals in every movie that he's been in, the ultimate line in the comics that explains Wolverine perfectly is, I'm really, really good at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice.
Yeah.
Right? Like that right there is Wolverine summed up in one real quick line. And that is absolutely the wrestle of what's going on through this entire movie. He is tired of doing the one thing that he's good at because he knows it's not very nice. And he's tired of it. He's tired of it. He doesn't want to do it anymore. And finally, he just gave up, said, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And then the one thing that ends up making it worth it to go back in and do the one thing that you're good at for the next generation. Oh, it's so good.
And this movie came out, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this movie came out around the same time as the first Last of Us game.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It exhibited such a similar story and emotion as that game did.
Yeah.
And it
hit a lot of the same thematic tone for sure.
Logan is one of the few movies that I can say I honestly can't think of a single thing I would change.
Except that maybe in an alternate universe, it actually got the awards it deserved.
I'm saying like in the
yes,
from beginning
yes, Alberto, thank you.
From beginning credits to end credits, not a single thing I would change.
It's a beautiful movie.
In another world, in another universe, in an alternate timeline somewhere, Logan got every Academy Award.
In an alternate timeline somewhere, Logan was the first Wolverine movie we ever got, and he continued on from there.
Instead, we live in a timeline where Logan got snubbed, but Suicide Squad 2016 got an Oscar for costume design.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
I'm like, okay, I guess.
Exactly right. People want to start throwing around Oscars at me as if that's the defining crowning achievement for a movie. I just remind them, Suicide Squad got an Oscar. No, they didn't. Yeah,
Suicide Squad has almost as many Oscars as the Harry Potter franchise.
That's exactly right. And Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings did win a Best Picture.
They did. Yes, that's true. Alrighty.
What you got?
Finally, we got mine. Christian, you said you wanted to guess.
I will tell you what I thought.
You wanted to try and guess what my top five are.
You don't even worst number one. You know number one.
After when we get to the worst movies, I'm going to tell you what I thought it was if it wasn't on the list.
We need to make sure that we don't take as much time talking about the worst ones because we only got a half hour here.
Yeah.
So, all right. So my top, it's actually, I kind of cheated, but I figured if I'm hosting this thing, I can cheat if I want. Honorable mentions, first and foremost, Road to Perdition. Yes, that's a comic book movie. You guys ever see that?
No. I know it's a comic book.
So good.
I've heard of it, never seen it.
Road to Perdition is really good.
They took it off Netflix, and I was like, I didn't know they were going to take it off. I paused it in like a half hour in. I was like, oh, this is good. I watched it the next day, and no, Netflix
just kept watching it, dude. It's really good. There's some really powerful dynamics in this film about the relationships between fathers and sons, and between wanting to kind of like the Logan theme of like wanting to let the next generation not go down the same path you did and make some of the same mistakes and commit some of the same sins and be cursed to the same life that you were, kind of a thing. And the dynamic between Tom Hanks as a pseudo adoptive son figure with the main gangster that's in the movie. And then Daniel Craig is in this as the actual son. And Paul Newman it's so good. And cinematically, it's like perfect. You could pause it at any minute and be like, wow, that shot right there is a work of art. So other honorable mention was Joker. Like, I don't know that I've walked out of a movie theater.
I felt so sick.
Yeah. Like in a way that was like, it just made you feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that was the point.
I watched that movie by myself, and I was never more grateful that I'd watched a movie by myself.
Right. Like everyone needs to be taking antidepressants right now after this movie. Good Lord. but there's so much going on in that movie. It's one of those films that could be talked about for forever as to what is actually happening, how much of it is real, how much of it isn't real, how much of it is in his head. Is the whole thing in his head? Is none of it in his head? Right, kind of. And then on top of that, the layers of commentary just on like different social issues that exist with regard to mental health, with regard to social justice, with regard to rioting and fighting up against the man, and like what's the right way to do that, and then people being willing to rally around a figurehead that they can connect with and that speaks for them regardless of how awful or terrible of a person they are in reality. Like there's so many things about that film that can just be commentaries on so many different aspects of life right now that I love films like that. So number 3 for me, The Dark Knight. We talked about it. It's just so good. The best way I can describe why I love it is I feel like it's like The Godfather 2 of comic book movies. Like it's just so on point. It could have gone for another half hour to an hour to 2 hours, and I probably would have still kept watching it. Second one, Logan. We already talked about it. I shared my reasoning behind it. It's just so powerful, so good. And number 1 for me, this is where I go, I'm kind of cheating.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I haven't even seen that yet. What are you talking about?
Don't act like it's not going to be your number 1.
I'm sure it will be eventually. I'll probably have to lump it in with my number 1, which is technically 2 movies, because in my mind they're all part of the same movie, which is Man of Steel and Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. In my mind, like, yes, they're 2 separate movies, but they fit so intricately with one another, and you understand so much of what's going on in each other's movies and within each other's character development, and all. Like, there's the depth of how they're connected with one another. I consider them to be one movie in my mind. And I've talked endlessly about all of these in relation to the Snyder Cut, so I'm not going to bore you guys any more to it, and we're going to move on unless you got questions.
A 15-minute review of these movies in every podcast episode from Dan Gold.
Yeah, pretty much. So
I agree with you. I like your choice of Man of Steel. I thought it was a solid movie. I wish it was a little bit more like the comic book, but otherwise, I think it's a good, solid superhero movie.
Definitely a step up from Superman Returns. I say that.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely personally, but
oh yeah,
I'm sure there's like 7 fans of Superman Returns. But no, I'm kidding.
You just lost to 7 viewers.
Brandon Roth was pretty good as Superman in the Crisis crossover.
Yeah, he was.
I thought it was a good, because he did return to as that Superman, and they mixed it with, I'm forgetting the name of the movie, the name of the comic book, with Alex Ross as the artist.
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come, yes. He was the Kingdom Come Superman, and I thought they did a really good job with it.
So then moving on to the top worst. And we're going to have to fly through here, or we're going to have to push back our pointless debate. What do you want to do?
I mean, there's only 3 of you guys, so we could always just skip the debate this week. Wait for Joe to come back.
Wait for Joe to come back. I'm cool with that. Yeah,
give us a little more time.
You're picking the topic, right, Christian?
Yeah, I'll save it for next week.
Sounds good. Save it for next week.
So do you want the lowest grossing?
Lowest grossing of all time.
Lowest grossing of all time was called The Specials, written by James Gunn, and it made a whopping
really
1,327.
Really?
1,300. It made $13,000 in the box office. That's it.
James Gunn made a movie.
When did it come out?
Superheroes.
It came out in So I'm going to read it.
That made only made $13,000.
$13,000. So the dubious. I'm going to read this from Screen Rant, from this 2018 article from the Screen Rant. The dubious honor. It was only in 2 theaters. That's why you haven't heard of it. So I'm going to read this to you. The Dubious
Now I
Honor
want
of
to see this.
lowest grossing superhero movie ever goes to The Specials, released in only 2 theaters back in 2000. The film tells the story of a superhero squad that's more concerned with fostering its public image than fighting crime. So kind of like what The Boys is doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the script was written by James Gunn, and the cast includes Rob Lowe, Jenna Fisher, Thomas Hayden Church, Jamie Kennedy. And behind-the-scene problems likely contributed to its failure. Gunn, Kennedy, and the director constantly fought, and the distributor lost faith in the final product. So you can find it on DVD and probably your local digital download. But the most recognizable,
or you can't.
Probably. I mean, I haven't
Probably.
tried.
Well, now I want to try and track it down because I'm a James Gunn fan.
The most
Are you a
recognizable.
Jamie Kennedy fan?
I mean, I'm curious to see Jamie Kennedy in a James Gunn movie.
That's true.
I was gonna say, at the very least, it's got my curiosity going there.
I hear Jamie Kennedy, and all I think is Son of Mask, and I'm just like,
the son of the man.
know.
That was pretty bad.
Pull up the poster for this movie right now. This needs to be shown.
I couldn't find the poster. I just found like a screenshot of.
Here's well, I don't want to give away the other one that.
The other one, you can. It's just I wanted something more recognizable. The most recognizable one I could find that's next lowest is Steel.
Steel.
Oh,
Popular choice
with
the lowest
Shaq.
Yeah,
it was time to show up at some point.
But
so this is okay. So this is The Specialists.
Yeah,
that's just
The Specials.
The Specials. Yeah.
Specials. So then,
of course, Shaq with Steel.
Yep, the lowest rated one. 1990 Captain America.
That was in theaters?
That was in theaters very briefly. Yep. 1990 Captain America.
And then number 2 is Catwoman.
That makes sense.
That makes total sense. That was terrible. I didn't realize. I guess I forgot that Captain America movie was in theaters.
There was only 2 good things about Catwoman. And I'll leave it at
that. Was it like the cat noises in the credits? Like, are those the 2 things?
Alberto, we'll explain it later.
When you're older.
Off the air. When you're older. The departure on that film from anything even remotely resembling the character everybody is familiar with was a crime. They should have been arrested. It was ridiculous.
I want to watch this 1990 Captain America one day. I feel like it'd be interesting.
So let's see who's going to go first here. Let's do Alberto.
Sure.
Or no, Bobby. I got Bobby first. Your bottom 3.
Bottom 3.
Although you got 4 here, I'm guessing the 4th one is honorable mention or what?
Right. Yes.
All right.
So no particular order, but we have Steel, which is the first attempt at DC trying to do Iron Man.
That was rough.
I've never seen that.
Have you never seen this movie, Chris? You should totally see it. You should totally see it.
I like the character Steel. I was like a John Henry fan. I have all the Death of Superman comics. Yeah, no, it was
the rise of the Supermen when the character was really.
If there's any reason to see, it's definitely to see just Shaq as a superhero, and it's just a sight to see.
He tried, but he's not a. He's
what
did you ever see? Did you ever see Gary Oldman on Jimmy Kimmel Live do his hilarious bit to athletes who decide to try and start acting?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I'll pick it up at some point.
Curse words galore that are bleeped out, but it is hilarious because he goes on a rant, this intensely angry rant about who the blank told you could act. You're the director on your Powerade commercial. Leave the acting to the actors and you play basketball. That's what you do. It's hilarious. And then he suddenly just cuts it off and goes, and scene. See, that's acting. Like, it's like, oh, okay. It was so fun. Go watch it if you get the chance.
So what are Steel's capabilities? What are his powers?
He doesn't really have any. He's basically Iron Man with a giant sledgehammer.
He's Iron Man.
Yeah.
He got inspired by Superman, and when Superman died, he took his old army tech and became a superhero to replace Superman just to do the best he could.
Got it. Okay.
Because
So
the world still needs heroes, still needs Superman.
But doesn't mention Superman at all in the movie.
No,
so
not even remotely.
No. So the only movie that I ever fell asleep in was Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
That was a
it was
movie.
Totally weird. Could not understand it. The first one I enjoyed. The second one it was just off the wall.
One with the graveyard fight scene.
I think that was
the first one.
That was the first one. Yeah, this one I can't. I mean, this one was just so all over the place. I had to. I just.
This one was directed by the same director who did the Crank movies.
What? Really?
Not gonna lie, the first Crank was actually decent.
Where he's like juicing himself up and like all that crazy stuff.
First Crank was actually decent.
I hated those movies, and you can tell that it's the same director in this film. There's not good.
It wasn't a good movie. Don't get me wrong.
I understand. I didn't mean that in an insulting way, Christian.
No.
I've only seen Ghost Rider 1 on cable on Univision, which is a Spanish channel. So I only watched Nicolas Cage being dubbed in Spanish. With all the action.
Is actually
the first Ghost Rider. I agree, Christian.
It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad movie.
I don't think I missed anything watching it.
That's a whole conversation right there. Nicolas Cage, good or bad?
Yeah, that's a 3-hour actually.
That's a 3-hour episode in and of itself.
The good, the bad, and the
so then, Bobby, your next one is
Electra. I wanted it. I mean, I thought they did a much.
Did you see the extended version of it, like the director's cut, or no?
No. I mean, and I think they did a much better job of Electra in the Netflix series of Daredevil.
The show
than they did in the movie, and this they tried. And Jennifer Garner was big at the time, and she was, the big action star during this time frame, but I don't think they did the character justice.
And then last one, is this your least favorite of all time, or is this supposed to be the honorable mention?
Honorable mention. I want to like this, Dan. I'll wait. I can't wait to. I want to like it when it comes out to HBO Max. But I was just utterly disappointed in Justice League. I wanted it to be better, Dan.
I can understand that and respect it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was
again a movie we've talked copious amounts about.
Right.
But
I wouldn't. I would again. The only thing I'd say is that it was extremly disappointing for me because I could tell it was not a Zack Snyder movie, and that's what I was expecting to go see.
Right. Exactly.
Alrighty. Next is Alberto.
All right.
Top 3 least favorite.
All right, top 3. I'll start with this honorable mention. For me, Suicide Squad 2016.
Wow.
So a tiny bit
low?
Dishonorable. So I didn't hate it. It's just that like I was super disappointed. So like whenever it comes to me for bottom 3 of anything, it has to be a movie that like I just don't want to ever watch again. Because like movies like, for example, like Catwoman, it might be terrible, but it's one of those so bad it's good, like Things Killing and Trolls 2, where you can just make fun of it throughout pretty much the entire movie. So I wouldn't pop it in, but if it's in and I'm just hanging out with people and we want to look for something to make fun of real quick, that's something fun for 15 minutes. These movies are ones that I just don't ever want to watch, but Suicide Squad was a movie I was super excited for. The marketing for it was phenomenal. It got me hooked. It was, I mean, agree or disagree, I'd say it was DC's response to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
100%.
Yeah. Which made me started meddling because they thought they needed their version of it.
Yeah, and I was really excited for it because I'm a sucker for ensemble cast stuff, especially when done right. Some of my favorite movies, like Knives Out, was a huge ensemble cast, and when it's done right, it's great. But the problem I had with this with Suicide Squad wasn't the characters. I think the individual characters are they're either okay or they're great. Harley Quinn, of course, is a standout. Okay ones were like Diablo, and underwhelming ones was like Katana. But I think the huge thing is just the script. I know there's the Ayer cuts that the campaign is most likely going to end up picking up some more steam. But
Hopefully.
with the new Suicide Squad right around the corner with James Gunn at the helm and a new huge cast, whether I see the air cut or not, I'm totally fine because I know that this cast or this ensemble crew is going to get a second try, and I have much higher hopes for this time around. So that's what it's just dishonorable. But number 3, Hellboy.
The most recent one.
Yes, 2019 specifically. I cannot remember the name of the actor that plays
David Harbour.
That's what it was. I was about to call him Hopper again. I was just rewatching Stranger Things episode 1, so I was like, Hopper. What's his name?
I was excited that he got cast for this. I was really excited when he got cast because I love him in Stranger Things.
So Hellboy for me, I was looking forward to it tons. I think the major problem again is that it's just script, and on top of that, when I saw it, I don't know if it was just the screen I saw it at. I felt like there was CGI that just wasn't even finished. There was a fight scene where Hellboy was fighting this giant troll, and you see him climbing the arm, stop, and then just like load here. And I'm just thinking, did that just buffer like an online match, like on Call of Duty or something? Like it went like this. The final villain was just super underwhelming.
I couldn't even tell you who the final villain was. That's how memorable they were. I honestly don't even remember.
It was so forgettable. And the only memorable part that I really have about this is definitely when not much of a spoiler because I'm trying to avoid people watching this movie, but Hell Comes on Earth, and it just turns into a horror movie for like 15 minutes, which was memorable mainly because of just how left field, gory, and overly violent it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was super disappointed. But onto movies that I just think are just primarily bad. It's X-Men: Dark Phoenix for sure.
Really?
Yes.
Of all of the X-Men movies,
yes,
this is the one that you picked.
This is the one because this is the only
not the Last Stand or Origins Wolverine. This is the one that you picked
because of this, Dan. X-Men 3 and Origins, I saw it in the comfort of my own home. So I could pause and go to the bathroom, do whatever I wanted. Dark Phoenix.
That's not the movie's fault.
Wait. Dark Phoenix was one that I pre-ordered my tickets. I got the really good seats. I went to AMC, midnight showing, super pumped. And I struggled so hard to stay awake at one of the most stale story and predictable stories I felt like I've watched in X-Men, and it was a bummer because I loved First Class, I loved Logan, I loved some things that Fox did with X-Men and the whole property, but this honestly, I never want to revisit it again. I mean, standout, there's standout characters like Fassbender. But at the end of the day, Dan, like I was sincerely bored out of my mind watching that movie.
You went to go see it at midnight, dude.
I watched this movie for the first time about a couple months ago.
And like I remember seeing Batman versus Superman at midnight, and I walked out at like 3:00 in the morning with my friend. Me and him were walking back to the car, super hyped about the warehouse scene, the nightmare scene. So it has nothing to do with like being tired. Like I know I had energy. This movie just I checked out. I was just like, why does this feel like I've seen this?
I'm curious how much of that is all based on the fact that you had probably seen Captain Marvel beforehand because Disney forced the release of that one first, even though the script for this one was written well before that one was, and then they had to change it.
I saw this one first because then I picked up tickets for Captain Marvel afterwards, which was another just meh movie.
Yeah. They're so similar in a lot of the beats between those two movies, which is why I understand to some degree why Disney did what they did. But I don't know. I think it's a much better Phoenix story than The Last Stand was.
Agreed, honestly.
It's not a perfect movie, but way better than Last Stand was.
I did not see this movie yet, but the biggest thing I heard is like you couldn't care. It didn't give you time to care about Jean Grey.
That's true.
I think that's the point. I
would agree with that. I would agree with the fact that you needed more time, and you kind of wish that if Fox knew they were building up to this moment, that they would have laid the groundwork for her character a little more strategically through all the other movies.
And you have the Phoenix tease at the end of Apocalypse.
That's about it, though.
But then completely change the way the Phoenix even originates in her in this movie.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just the running theme for me for Hellboy, Suicide Squad, and Dark Phoenix. It's just those were just super disappointing movies. Now, my top number one pick, I'm only gonna talk 30 seconds. This is just a bad movie, hands down. Judge Dredd, Sylvester Stallone,
dude.
I mean,
not the law. I am the law.
No, this movie,
I am the law.
it gives you a headache watching this movie. I honestly, this is one of those movies that it's not even so bad it's good. It's just so bad.
Oh,
Why
I
did
would
they
put it
make
in that
it?
category.
Oh no, I can't. I get a headache listening to Stallone just deliver his lines left and right.
Did you see the Carl?
Did you like the Carl Urban one?
The
Carl
Dredd
one,
like 2012 or
Just
something.
Dredd?
Yeah.
That one was awesome.
That one was really
a good
good.
one. That was a really good
super
one.
cool.
I was blown away at how good that was. I'm like,
surprised we never got a sequel to that, honestly.
yeah, I agree with that.
It was super cool, and I love it because it's like it's cyberpunky kind of feel and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this was. I mean, obviously they put Stallone because it's Stallone. If you had the chance to put Stallone in your movie or in anything,
I'm sorry, but when I'm looking through the comics and I'm reading the comics and I read Judge Dredd, I definitely think Stallone. Maybe that's just
I can't.
like
it's like reading a Conan the Barbarian and not picturing
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
Thank you.
Doesn't mean it's. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never seen that movie either.
Never seen Judge Dredd?
I've never seen that.
Guys, you got to see these movies.
Judge Dredd. Well, I think you could definitely go back and watch it because my problem was this: I watched Dredd and then Judge Dredd, so I was expecting like, oh, it's gonna be like a '90s.
Oh, dude!
No,
I couldn't.
Why
Really,
would you
guys,
do that
really?
that way?
I don't know. Bobby and Dan are both like exactly the same right now. Just like,
because I think we're. I think
the same guy who watched Star Wars in the wrong order too. So you know,
I was born on that year. Like,
I know. So okay, well,
it's a product that's the lone Judge Dredd movie is definitely a product of the '90s. Like,
definitely, thank you, Bobby.
That's what it is. It's a product of the '90s.
Right.
It came out. It was a comic book thing. They were trying to hop on like everyone else.
Yep.
So the way if you watch it in that segment, it's a fun movie.
Yes, and everything about the character in the comics of Judge Dredd screams like Stallone future action movie star guy. Like,
I feel like Stallone as Judge Dredd would almost just be what was that movie he was in?
Demolition Man?
Yes.
That one was a good movie too.
I feel like that's
Demolition Man was good. Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Listen though, regardless,
definitely get them mixed up. You could.
The audience score of 30% on Rotten Tomato. I think we'll agree that.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, Batman vs Superman is sitting at a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know if Rotten Tomatoes can always be trusted.
Yeah.
Wait, what movie?
Batman vs Superman.
Sharknado is significantly higher too.
Yeah.
So let's.
That's a pinnacle of cinema.
Yeah, right. So, Christian.
Yes, sir.
Your top three.
All right.
Worst. Or shall we say bottom three?
Yes.
I guess we can put it that way.
So I will say, I just realized looking at everybody else, I had a dishonorable mention and I forgot to put it in there.
Okay. You want to go that one first?
My dishonorable mention was Catwoman.
Okay.
Right. So we covered that already.
Fair enough.
So my number 3 is the Fantastic Four reboot.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yes.
I am not kidding you when I say I watched this movie at home, thankfully. I did not go and see it in theaters because I knew it was going to be trash can.
Lucky.
Yeah. And
very lucky.
When this movie ended, I was simultaneously like, thank God it's over. And also, wait, that's the ending?
Right.
Like it felt like that. I think the movie's only like an hour and 37 minutes or something. Crazy
longest hour and a half movie ever.
It literally feels like the first half of a movie.
Does.
And not even
exactly right. That is exactly right.
And it's such a shame because those 4 actors that they put together had
really good
potential to blow it out of the park.
Yes.
They could have set up a new franchise for Fox that could have kept them in the superhero movie genre.
And so here's the crazy part about this. This ties into a lot of the conversations we've had already about studios not allowing the directors to just make the movies they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
because from everything that I've read and learned, the director for this movie had
Josh
his
Trank,
movie,
right?
Yeah. And he basically had so many points of conflict with the studio that essentially the last 6 to 8 months of production and post-production entirely were he just like gave up. He's like, this isn't even my movie anymore. And the studio came in and basically started finishing the movie for him because he was like, screw it, this isn't my movie. That's why a lot of the stuff from the trailers that we saw were like seemed like major action sequences and story beats that were never even shown.
And that portrayal of Dr. Doom does
such
disrespect to the idea of that character.
Yeah.
See, I never seen it.
You don't.
You haven't seen this movie, Umberto?
This is not even a movie that I want you to see because of how bad it is.
I seen after the movie came out, a bunch of YouTube channels. It was like trending how bad it was. It was on Twitter. It was on Facebook about how just wasted of a potential this movie was. So I just never bothered to watch it. And
you shouldn't, honestly.
This is the first family of Marvel, and it's one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Like,
might be one of the worst movies ever made.
I liked the first ones with Chris Evans. Better. Those were fun. Those were
super campy. People made fun of them because of how campy they were, but then in comparison to this, it's like, come on.
Compared to this, those were masterpieces.
Yeah. And see, the funny thing is, I feel like I rented the movie digitally for $1.
Yeah, I think I rented it from Redbox for like $1 as well.
And I rented it for $1 because I didn't believe anything that anyone was saying about how bad it was. I'm like, there's no way it could be that bad. And I sat in my basement, watched it, and wanted my $1 back.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was.
The most boring, dry, like there's nothing in the film that you can make fun of because it's so bad.
No, it's just bad.
It's just bad.
Yeah. And it has such potential. That's the worst part. If it had been just 4 actors that nobody expected anything good from, and it was a bad movie, that'd be completely different. But the fact that you have these 4 actors who are all really good actors, it's mind blowing.
All right, number 2 there, Christian, is
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Wasted potential.
This movie, compared to Logan being my number 1 movie of all time, this movie, I remember.
You didn't like the CGI claws that are longer than his forearms, like just coming out of nowhere.
Between this movie, I am so thankful that Ryan Reynolds got his redemption as Deadpool.
Oh, I know.
Yes. I forgot about that.
Totally agree.
This
was
movie,
right?
That
was this one. Yep, that was this one.
Sewed shut mouth and the bald head and the tattoos and this movie.
This movie left my memory bank because I only remember the Wolverine when he was like Japan, and it was okay. And I guess that's why I never added it like on my bottom 3 list, because I legitimately forgot this movie actually still existed, and I sat and watched it twice.
The only saving grace about this movie is Sabretooth.
Oh, Sabretooth's portrayal is pretty good.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. That dynamic between him and Sabretooth is good. It technically is
15 minutes or whatever of the movie when they're doing like their whole history.
Backstory.
Like that's the only good part of the movie. Everything after
there's the Disney Plus show right there.
Yeah, honestly. And then number 1, this is a movie I have had multiple arguments with multiple people about over my time.
Wait, Christian, are you telling me that you didn't love when he looked in the mirror? He was like, And he just put his hair down, and all of a sudden, just started hitting on people in New York.
No, this movie,
Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3.
Oh man,
is the only time I can ever remember wanting to unsee an entire movie. I would be completely
Want the total recall.
I would be completely okay with the memory of this movie being wiped from my memory banks for all.
What? Okay. What was it about that? Like, it's a bad movie.
Everything.
Yes. What makes it that bad? Because that's pretty bad.
Venom, Sandman, the absolute.
I didn't mind Sandman's story arc. They could have just kept it with Sandman.
They
It doesn't
should
need to be in the
focus
movie.
on him, I feel like. And
Yeah.
like, that's it.
And then the absolute just shoehorning and ruining of what's the
The symbiote.
no of what's his friend.
Green Goblin.
Oh, the Green got Harry. Yeah. that-
Harry Osborn and the Green Goblin. Yeah.
Yes, like that. That character and that final end up turn after all three of those movies should have been such a big
Right.
emotional payoff moment, and it's
And it
almost,
definitely wasn't.
it's almost thrown in for comedic effect.
Well,
Right.
again, Sam Raimi did not want Venom in this movie. Again, this
Mhm.
is another product of the studio going in and say,
I'm
Throwing
sensing a
Venom.
theme here.
throwing it. And I think that was one of the we want to talk about what makes a good comic
Yeah,
book
I honestly think
movie.
we should continue this into a part 2 next week after we finish these bottom 3
I'm
movies,
cool with that. Yeah.
because that's its own topic in itself. What makes it good? What makes a bad movie? And we didn't even really get to touch.
We
on
haven't really explored that yet because
Yeah.
we've been talking about what our best and worst are. But I think that's a great idea. We can dive into exactly what makes it so good and bad.
Yeah. And the fact that they even were able to make fun of this movie in Into the Spider-Verse just shows how bad this movie was.
Yep.
And it's such a shame because
It is.
this more often than not is what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is remembered for.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it was like the swan song of his character, and they were going to do Spider-Man 4. That was the plan. They were going to do a Spider-Man 4.
They were bringing Bruce Campbell in to play Mysterio,
Play
right?
Mysterio. That was the
Yeah.
whole. That was
Sick.
like his shtick, apparently.
That would have been amazing, honestly.
Yeah, I would have
Yeah.
loved that. But I like. So here's where I like. Sam Raimi didn't want to use Venom. Okay. The fans were demanding Venom. Studio goes, hey, the fans need Venom. The fans are demanding Venom. You need to put Venom in.
Have you seen that?
So there's
video that was going around showing the original Venom that they were going to use? They had this full original animatronic that they were going to use.
Oh,
And it
really?
was this terrifying sculpt and this just massive unhinged jaw, and it was just this terrifying creature.
Yeah, as it should be.
And then the studio came in and said, "There's no way we can do that."
We can't do that with kids. No way.
And they vetoed it, and it just turned into that mess.
But here's where I feel like there's a conflict that exists between studios and directors and writers a lot, that neither side is willing to bend to the other. And so thus you get Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Because if Sam Raimi would have listened to the studio and listened to the fans and went, well, everybody's saying they want Venom, and
Let's make the best Venom movie.
then in light of that, he could have either gone, A, that character is not anything I'm worth writing for, so I'm going to step out and let someone else do it. Or, okay, let's find out more about this character and write a script and make a movie around this character that everybody seems to be so intrigued about. Instead of, okay, sure, I'll squeeze Venom in and if it'll make you happy, but I'm still going to do all this other stuff in there too.
Right.
Like, that's a problem.
And
Like, that's
shoehorning
where
of-
Sam Raimi is going, hey, I'm going to make my movie, and then the studio is forcing me to shove all of this other stuff in there. It's like, well, if this is the studio and it's their money and it's technically their finances that are on the line that are funding this thing, technically they're your employer. Like, don't just appease them. Work with what they're saying they want as a product and make the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's that side of it. And I think to some degree, that's kind of how Marvel was as successful as they were for as long as they were with Disney, because Kevin Feige was basically going, no, this is the movie we want. And if you can't make this movie fit into all of this narrative, then you're not the right director for it. And that's okay.
Disney did have fight with during the first couple of movies. Disney did have fighting with their directors before Kevin Feige took control.
Right. Yeah.
If Kevin Feige didn't take control, we could have had a different very end to the Avengers.
Right. So
I was gonna say, for time's sake, we should go to Dan's and
then just wrap it.
Let's wrap it up. Yeah, because we gotta go to bed.
I gotta call it a night here. Okay, my top 3 worst. Fant 4 stick. That's what I'm reading, and that's what it is. It's not Fantastic Four. It's Fant 4 stick.
Yeah.
Fant stick 4. I don't know. How do you say that? It's not Fantastic Four because there was nothing fantastic about it. That's for sure. The 4 makes sense, I guess, because there's 4 of them. But that's about as far as I would really.
They make you fant and sick 4 times.
Yes, there you go. Somebody at the studio or the director or somebody needed to get that stick out of there. Are you
telling me that Arnold's line in Batman and Robin, his "Ice to meet you"?
Yes, my second worst movie of all time. Second worst.
That alone.
Patrick Stewart
Batman
was
and
supposed
Robin
to be
for sure.
This movie, I got confused. Never mind.
Batman and Robin, without a doubt, is one of the worst movies. Worst superhero movies, just worst movies. And the reasoning behind it, and it was admittedly acknowledged in the behind the scenes and interviews and documentaries with cast and director and creators. This is basically an 1.5 hour long toy commercial.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
Makes sense, actually.
The storyline makes no sense. The puns, the jokes, the motivation for the villains are completely polar opposite of one another. Mr. Freeze wants to literally freeze the entire planet and bring it back to the Ice Age. And Poison Ivy wants to have the whole planet covered in taking over by plants.
And you have Bane.
And then Bane, like, just kind of thrown in there as like this brutish, mindless, like Mexican wrestler thug. Mm-hmm. Nowhere remotely near the incredibly intimidating and intelligent figure that he is in the like, it was so bad. The conflict between Batman and Robin even doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either. Like, they're just fighting and arguing because they're fighting and arguing. Like, what?
Because they're both in love with Poison Ivy.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
I was going to say the Adam West Batman movie, which is campy on itself, right? With robot sharks, is a much better movie than this because it's product of the time.
Yeah,
I will say, as a kid, when this movie came out, I was the prime demographic for this film.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. I remember watching it too.
Yeah, I remember as a child enjoying this film. Watching it again as an adult, I realize now that the movie is not a good movie. But
I brought my 2 younger brothers to go see this in the theater. They enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And immediately went out and wanted to buy the toys.
Right.
So the movie filled its purpose in that regard.
It was the perfect movie for what it was trying to do.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't make it a good movie, though. That's kind of the whole point, right?
No.
It doesn't make it a good movie.
Nope. It's a great marketing tool.
Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl. How do you make Batgirl not be Barbara Gordon? Like, what the? Even a campy Adam West TV show got that right. Like, what?
As hard as it is to say, this was the first Batman movie I saw. So it was the movie that made me a Batman fan. Yeah, because I was a kid.
Yeah,
And
we were
then
the prime demographic for this movie.
Yeah, and then the movie Batman, what was it, Forever, with
Yeah.
Jim Carrey. Like, I remember watching that one too.
That one's more tolerable.
And then I watched the Tim Burton ones, and I mean, this movie, as much as crappy as it is in retrospect, I wouldn't be a Batman fan probably without it, because it was my launching point as a kid. It's all I had. That's it. That and the animated series, which eventually I ended up watching.
Here's why I really hate this movie. Batman is not Batman in this movie at all. Like, he's like chipper, cracking jokes, being sarcastic, like not even remotely Batman, right? Like the idea of Batman being a person who is constantly trying to avenge the death of his parents so that it wouldn't happen to anyone else. Like, that was a big part of Tim Burton's movies, right? They set that up big time. Batman Forever, for all of its flaws, still explored that aspect of his character a little bit and set that up. And then suddenly you get George Clooney coming in as chipper, just like not a care in the world, cracking jokes, kind of bad. Like, who is this guy? You know, like not even remotely building off of the same Joel Schumacher movie that was there just a moment. Like, so anyways, last one for me, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Have any of you seen this movie?
It's one of my favorite Superman movies as a kid.
Stop, Bobby. No, it wasn't.
As a kid, yes.
Okay.
Richard Pryor was in number 3, right?
That was 3. Richard Pryor was in 3. That was also not great, but it has some corny, cheesy campiness to it that has redeeming moments.
I have never seen any of the original Superman movies.
I've only seen the original 1 and 3.
Brandon Routh Superman is the oldest Superman movie I've ever seen.
Christian, I'm going to have a heart attack right now. Are you kidding me?
I'm being completely honest.
You've never seen any of the Christopher Reeves Superman movies?
Blasphemy.
I think I vaguely remember seeing one with like a crystal on a fucking cruise ship or something.
Okay.
Or something like that.
That doesn't describe at all clearly which one you saw. It really doesn't.
I'm thinking no.
Oh my God. Okay. Superman 1 and then Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut.
Okay.
The only ones you need to watch.
Okay.
If you have not seen those two, definitely watch them.
Okay.
Ignore the theatrical release of Superman 2 and Superman 3, and definitely never even bother remotely wasting any of your time, money, or brain cells watching Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, which single-handedly killed the entire comic book and superhero movie genre for nearly a decade until Tim Burton came in with Batman.
Was it the Atari ET, basically?
Basically, it was the Atari ET of the. It's so bad. There is an aspect of this, however, if you're really curious, you want to watch it with some people who you can do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of thing, because there is so much absurd jokes that you can make about this movie.
Maybe I'll come. Maybe after everything calms down, I'll come watch it with you.
You should definitely watch. We should watch it together and just make fun of it the entire time.
Okay.
There are moments where he's literally rebuilding the Great Wall of China with mind powers, with his mind. He is bringing a woman who was taken hostage by a clone that actually isn't a clone of Superman. The what was the guy's name? Atomic Man or something like that. He takes this lady hostage, flies her out to the moon, and she's at the moon, and Superman fights this dude on the moon with this lady out in space and then flies her back. Is there anything happening to her? No. Why is she surviving and lasting in space? No idea. How is she not suffocated to death right now? Who knows? Nobody cares. Doesn't matter, right? Like, there are so many ridiculous things about, it's really bad. Watch the honest trailer of it if you ever get a chance to.
Okay.
It hits every beat perfect on everything wrong with this movie.
We do get John Cryer being Lex Luthor's nephew and eventually becoming Lex Luthor himself in the CW.
In the CW. That's a good point. That's a very good point. It kind of comes full circle a little bit with that. But it's so bad. It's so bad. You can't help but just laugh at it the entire time. So,
well, I think that's a good place for us to cut it for today.
I would say so.
We can pick back up part 2 next week.
Yeah, I got some good themes going on that we've been reviewing, so we can put those in the outline notes for next time.
I love that, Bobby. Thank you. So let's call it there, and then we'll pick up this conversation next week and kind of explore more of what it is about these movies that has made them so bad or so good, and maybe even talk about ideally what we would love to see going forward too. Yeah. So, and we'll finally get our pointless debate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it is going to be one I'm very interested to have all 4 of you talk about. So,
I've been banned.
You haven't been banned, Bobby.
You just got to follow the rules.
You just got to follow the rules. I got graphics here for a reason, dude. Come on now. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. We will call it a night there. It was great chatting. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. And we will see you all next week.
Take care, everybody.
See you
Bye,
later.
guys.